Welcome to the Stronger, Fitter, Happier podcast. I'm your host Vin, and today you are going to be listening to me ask for your kind of forgiveness for missing another week of the podcast. So last week was the half-term holidays in the UK, so kids running around and just doesn't make for a good time to record a podcast. But we're back. And I say back, but this week it is just me on a solo episode. And what you're about to listen to is a recording I did of a live talk on Facebook, in a Facebook group actually, for the Asian community on how to lose weight. Now, this advice doesn't actually apply to just the Asian community. It's just the group is made up of Asians on Facebook. So the topic is the simple way to lose weight. So if you would like to learn how to lose weight without complication, and it is normally something that you struggle with and it's kind of like a mind-boggling topic, then make sure you listen to the rest of this episode. It will give you a lot of clarity on how to lose weight and how to take action on the most important steps to actually start losing weight. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. As always, leave us your feedback, leave us a review, and we would love to hear from you. Hello, so I am live. This is exciting. So we have had quite a few, messages going out in the transformation group about doing these lives and stuff from Zamiha and stuff. So that is kind of why I decided to get in first, because you're probably over the month probably going to be bombarded with lots and lots of information about diets and nutrition and losing weight and what's the best thing to do. So I thought I'd try and get in there first, and just give you some basically sensible information about how to lose weight in a very simple way, give you the facts, give you the science, and kind of not have you confused by maybe potentially a lot of the information you're going to hear and see, and so that's why I'm doing this, and that's why I tried to get in there quickly and first. So for everybody watching, I'll let a few people come in and then we can kind of get started with what I had to say today. I'm just going to go over some of the things that I'm going to be discussing, some of the things I'm going to be helping you with and talking about. So what you're going to learn if you do watch this whole live is exactly how to lose weight, one, and how fat loss works. Second thing you're going to learn is basically what do you need to do with nutrition to start burning fat, and then what foods you should be eating to kind of burn fat, and that's a bit of a way to get people to come in as well, because there is no particular food that you need to eat. There's no must eat food, but yeah, I'll come to that later. So what can you do to speed your weight loss up, how long it will take you to achieve your goals, which is one that a lot of people want to know, and how to make it easier to stick with your nutrition long term. So those are things we're going to be discussing, and something that I'm going to be doing for everybody who watches live is basically giving you a chance to win a spot on our upcoming nutrition challenge. So I run a company, or co-own a company, we're called Beyond a Diet, and we have a 6-week nutrition challenge coming up to help people out with their nutrition up into the lead up till Christmas. So all you have to do to enter to win a spot on there is basically say hey to me. So in the comments, all I want you to do is say hey, give me an emoji, so like kind of put a heart or put like a like or an angry face or a crying face, whatever. It doesn't really matter. It just helps people see this on their newsfeed, and be here at the end, because I will pick someone who's basically said hello or hey or whatever and give me a like. I will pick one of those people in the comments, and I'll just say, let's say I can see someone watching, so Alka's someone who's commented, so I can say, Alka, you've won a spot, and all Alka has to do at the end is respond to me. So if you don't comment, you won't get picked. I need to see you comment. So Vash has commented. Vash is trying to get she's already on bad, so she's trying to get it complimentary next month. So all I want to see is yes, the comments are coming in now. Great. That's literally all I wanted. So everyone who's saying hello throughout this will be entered into competition, and at the end I'll just say, for example, someone who just said it, I would just say you have won, and if you reply back to me, that means you're still here, you're still watching, and you will get a spot. Jyoti, thank you. Jyoti wants me to pick her, definitely. Jyoti wants me to pick her by saying I am the best. So I am going to get started now. I won't keep you any longer. So how do you lose weight? Let me know what you think and how you think that you can lose weight. Like, what have you done in the past to try and lose weight? Now, I think one of the most common things is probably going to be go on a diet, like some sort of diet, something you've done in the past to try to kind of help you lose weight. Now, that is probably the right way to go, because most diets work, and I say literally every single diet you can go on will potentially help you lose weight, and that's because if they follow one rule, you will definitely lose weight. And what I'm talking about, the rule, is if you're in a calorie deficit. And what a calorie deficit means is simply that you're eating less calories than you're burning. And that's actually how you lose weight, pretty simply. Like, if you forget about what you have to eat and all the other things that go with it, sticking with a calorie deficit, like Sheena has just mentioned, is where the difficulty lies. It's not actually getting into a calorie deficit, because everyone knows that if you just move a little bit more, eat a little bit less, you will start to lose weight. Sticking with that is what's hard. So that's what I'm going to be discussing in terms of how we can make it easier, how we can help you stick with it. So now that we know that exactly what you have to do is get into a calorie deficit, let me just explain exactly what a calorie deficit is and how energy balance works. So the way it works is basically you have to eat less calories than you take in. Than you burn, sorry. So for example, for me, let's say I am active and I move around in the day, and my calories come out to be, like, daily expenditure comes out to be 2,000 calories. Now, that will be with my activity level, but even without doing any activity, I will potentially burn around, let's say, about 1,200 to 1,500 calories just based on my BMR. I don't know my BMR off the top of my head, but BMR is basal metabolic rate. Yeah, so basal metabolic rate is how much your body burns without moving, and that's to keep alive and function. So even breathing burns calories, your hormonal functions burns calories, your heart pumping blood around your body will burn calories. And when you think about it, like, for someone my height and weight, 1,200 to 1,500 calories on just BMR alone is a big amount to eat, like, without moving, and that's how many calories I'll burn in the day. So if we then take into consideration your activity levels, then you will burn a lot more. So let's say for my example, I was 2,000 calories. So if I eat 2,000 calories, because that's how much I burn in the day, my weight will stay exactly the same. It won't budge, it won't go up, and it won't go down. However, if I eat less than that, then I will start to lose weight, because what your body does is it sees there's a gap between the amount you need to function to stay alive and to stay your current weight and the amount you're eating. So if I start to eat 1,500 calories, for example, my body will see that there's a 500 calorie deficit. It needs to get these 500 calories from somewhere. And what your body is quite clever at doing is will start taking from things it doesn't need. So things that you don't use. For example, body fat. Your body, if it's in excess of body fat, it doesn't necessarily need it. And it will get rid of it to a certain point. So we'll come on to like plateaus and things like that later. But for now, that's all you need to understand. So if you eat less calories than you burn every day, you will start to lose weight. So I've given you a calorie calculator. It's in the comments. I put it in this kind of group. So you can use the calorie calculator. So Ravinder's just asked, how do you work out your basal metabolic rate? So BMR calculators are all over the internet. So if you just search BMR calculator, you'll be able to find it. The problem is BMR calculator just gives you a basal metabolic rate. It doesn't take into consideration like you moving every day. And I don't mean exercise. I literally mean if you went to the sofa to sit down, you pressed the remote control, you stood up, you sat back down, your digestion, all of these burn calories as well. So your active metabolic rate is what you need to work out. So the calculator I gave you for free in the comments, not in the comments, sorry, in the description, will help you work out how many calories you need to burn to lose weight and to maintain your weight. So what I want you to do, you don't have to do it right now because it will take off the live, but click the video, click the link, sorry, and literally calculate how many calories you need to burn to lose weight and to maintain your current weight. And then what this data gives you is the calculator will give you how many calories you need to burn to lose weight, how many calories you need to maintain weight, but also give you like how much water you need to eat, to have an optimal kind of fat loss, and I'll talk about water later. Fiber, so it'll give you the government recommendation of 30 grams of fiber per day. I'll come to that, why that's important later. And it'll also give you a protein goal, and I'll come to that, why that's important later as well. Just want to tell you what information it will give you. And then it will give you some carbs and fat goals as well. That's not too important. This is all about keeping it simple. So for now, let's not worry about carbs, let's not worry about fats. And you don't even have to worry about protein. Let's just focus on calories, because even if you simply focus on calories, you will definitely lose weight. Now there will be some people who won't, because everybody's different. You will have to maybe drop your calories a little lower than what my calorie calculator gives you, but it will help you calculate where a ballpark figure to start at. So now that you've got the information, well, you don't now, but you will later. Now that you have that information, what do you do with it? How do you track? So what we use for most of the people we help is an app called MyFitnessPal. So you plug in the information in MyFitnessPal, and it will give you, like, you can use the app to track your calories and your intake. So for example, if I had the MyFitnessPal app right now on my phone and I wanted to eat, so what have I got? I've got I've got an apple. So what I can do is I can either just plug in the apple into MyFitnessPal and say I think these are Pink Lady apples. So I can plug in one medium-sized Pink Lady apple, and it'll give me some calorie information on it, probably around like 50 to 100 calories for this apple. If I want it to be accurate, what I can do is put it on a weighing scale, and it'll tell me the grams of the apple. So let's say the apple was 100 grams, then I can put it into MyFitnessPal, said 100 grams of a Pink Lady apple. And then it will tell me the accurate calorie information. And that's literally it. So you go about your day, track your food, you track your intake, and then you'll be able to see if you're eating the right amount. And simply put, if you take anything away from this and you stop watching right now, if you are able to meet the calorie goal that my calculator gave you, you will lose weight. And it doesn't matter what you eat. So even if you only eat apples all day, I'm not recommending that. You will literally lose weight if you stuck to the calorie goal. If you ate chocolate bars all day, not recommending that again. You will lose weight just by eating chocolate bars. It's been proven in science. There's been studies done on people eating junk food and trying to lose weight. And not only has their weight been dropped, if they were overweight to begin with and their weight dropped, their blood markers improved, even simply by eating junk food. They had better like cholesterol, they had better blood pressure, all sorts of things. So yeah, that is the power of basically controlling your calorie intake. And if you are able to do that, regardless of what diet you follow, whether it's intermittent fasting, whether you're a vegan, whether you're a vegetarian, whether you eat meat, whether you only eat meat, if you're able to meet your calorie goals, you will see an improvement in your body composition to a certain degree. Now, how do we optimize this? Obviously, eating junk food all day is not going to help you meet your fiber. It's not going to help you meet your basically your vitamins and your minerals and all these other things that are important for your body. You know, even things like fats and stuff like that, they're all important for your body. So how do we optimize it? So what I recommend to people is to follow the 80-20 rule. And what that means is 80% of your diet should be made up of wholesome, nutritious sources of food. The rest of the 20% can be literally what you want. And it doesn't have to be junk food. It could be dairy products, it could be cheese, it could be I don't know, processed food, whatever you want it to be. But 80% of it, make it so it's nutritious, wholesome sources of food. So things like grains, pulses, lentils, lean sources of protein, fruits, vegetables, all the things that you probably know are healthy for you that you probably don't eat enough of. So if you have 2,000 calories in a day, then what I want you to do is 80% of those 2,000 calories come from like wholesome nutrition sources of food. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because wholesome nutritious sources of food are nutrient dense, so they're going to be promoting health and well-being. They usually have better like fiber intake, and the protein intake of like lean protein sources of food are better for you. And the reason why it's better for you is because it satiates you. So a lot of people talk about, oh, when I go on a diet or I eat salad and I'm really hungry. If you are able to eat foods that are high in satiety and high in terms of filling you up, they fill up the plate and they keep you fuller for longer, then you will be able to stick to a diet for longer. So if you had to eat 1,500 calories and you normally eat 2,000, obviously your body's going to start feeling hungry. You're going to start to ramp up like your hunger hormones, and you're going to feel a bit more like eating. Your body's very clever. As you start to drop weight, it will do everything it can to keep you in homeostasis and stop you from losing weight. So it will start to ramp up your hunger levels. So if you eat things like an apple as opposed to a chocolate bar, one apple will be able to equate the calories of potentially, like 2 apples, will equate the calories of 1 chocolate bar. And what would fill you up more? A chocolate bar or 2 apples? I'm going to assume it's 2 apples as opposed to a chocolate bar. So that's what I mean by eating wholesome, nutritious sources of food. Sorry, just need to blow my nose. And then the other thing that you want to, apart from like 80% of the diet being your nutritious diet, being full of like wholesome, nutritious sources of food, is making sure you're meeting your fiber goal. So that's why it's in there. And the fiber goal will help you feel fuller as well. The other thing is protein. Protein is important. Like you hear about it, like loads of personal trainers and nutritionists talking about protein. It's not as important as calories, but it is important as well because it helps fill you up. It's the most kind of satisfying in terms of like making you feel full of the macronutrients, of the carbs, of the proteins, and of fat. So protein is the next thing that you want to focus on. And also water as well. So if you're not hydrated adequately, what's going to happen is that you will start to notice you feel more lethargic, you have less energy, you feel more hungry. So often people confuse like thirst and hunger. So this again will have an impact. So that's why we've included on the calculator. So fiber, protein, and water. If you meet these 3 things, as well as the 80% of food being like nutritious sources of food, you will see a massive improvement in your hunger levels, meaning that you can stick to the nutrition, to the calories that my calculator gives you a little bit easier. Whereas if you just ate junk food, if you ate all of your calories from like, let's say like a pizza, and you ate 1,500 calories from Pizza Hut, in one meal, you're going to feel hungry for the rest of the day. And that's where the problem with just simply eating whatever you want comes from. So it's not, while you can eat what you want and hit your calories, it's not ideal, it's not recommended. You'd probably want to eat, vary everything. So moving on. So now that you know what you should be eating, I know it's quite brief. I'm going through this quite fast because I want to keep it half an hour and keep people's attention. So if you have any questions based on that, leave them in the comments. I'll come back to it at the end. So the next thing is, what can you do to boost fat loss? So aside from like eating the satiating foods, making sure you're meeting your protein goals and hitting calories, what can you do? So the first thing to look at is activity levels. So if your activity levels are quite low, then if you've already been on the calculator, notice that I've given you 3 numbers based on your activity levels. So the lower the number, the less calories you'll be able to eat. So the more active you are, the more calories you can eat, meaning it could be easier for you to stick to your nutrition goals. Because why eat 1,200 calories when you just be a bit more active and then eat 1,800 calories? because you're burning 500 more calories in the day. It makes a lot more sense to burn more calories in the day, and obviously be able to eat more food. And at the same time, being more active brings its own benefits aside from fat loss. Health benefits, well-being, mental well-being, just generally feeling good about yourself, and strength and fitness improvements as well. So being more active, and I don't mean being more active in terms of going to the gym and doing a hard workout. I literally mean walking more. So if you're able to take 10,000 steps, then do that. If you're able to do things like, say I'm on a phone call right now for a meeting, rather than being on the phone, put the hands free in and walk around the house while I'm talking. Things like that will make a massive improvement on your fat loss. The other thing is sleep, and sleep is often overlooked in terms of people trying to lose weight from a weight loss perspective. The reason why sleep is so important, because it controls two hunger hormones. One is ghrelin and the other is leptin. Now ghrelin, what happens when you have a lack of sleep is ghrelin goes up and leptin goes down. And as ghrelin goes up, what happens is you feel hungrier, and that's the hunger hormone. Ghrelin makes you feel more hungry. Leptin controls your appetite a bit better, makes you feel more satisfied. And that actually goes down when you sleep less. So getting enough sleep, like 7.5 or 6 to 9 hours a day a night, is the optimal amount to get your hormones and everything working in unison. The other reason why is when you're tired, you tend to move less as well. So your activity level may drop the next day, impacting the amount of calories you burn. So sleep is super important and just good for well-being and health, general health anyway, aside from fat loss. Finally, exercise. Exercise will burn even more calories than just being active as well. So adding in exercise will help with fat loss, and most people tend to find their nutrition and exercise relationship works quite well. So when they exercise, they eat better. When they don't exercise, they eat worse. So that is another reason why exercise is important and why it's something that you should be trying to keep up with. And obviously health benefits and fitness and that sort of thing and so on. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was the journey. So now you know basically how fat loss works, what information you need to be starting to lose weight, what you should be eating, and what boosts fat loss. So now it's just about getting the results, right? So how much fat can you lose in X number of weeks? So what I say to people is, on average, across a period of time, let's say 6 weeks, for example, across 6 weeks, you should be losing to be a visible difference that you're probably going to be happy with, and that is a good rate of fat loss that's healthy as well, is 0.5% to 1% of your total body weight per week. Bit of a mouthful, but all that means is 3 to 6% of your total body weight. So if you weighed 100 kilos in 6 weeks, losing around 3 to 6 kilos is a good figure for you to lose. And it's one that you'll probably be quite happy with. And when I say happy with, is because it's probably visible in terms of 3 to 6 kilos, probably about a dress size down from 100 kilos, maybe even 2. You'll probably notice quite a big difference on your body. You'll notice how different you feel and how good you feel by that. And when you do lose that amount, you will need to rework your calories. So when you lose a lot of calories, lose a lot of weight, what happens is your metabolism changes. As you get lighter, your metabolism reduces because there's less of you to keep active. So if you weigh 100 kilos, you will need a lot more food than someone who weighs 50 kilos to maintain your weight, because there's a lot more of you. There's a lot more tissue. There's a lot more just mass generally. Even fat requires calories to keep it there. So that being said, there was a few questions about before I went live, is about how do we break through a plateau. What I would definitely recommend is reworking your calories to make sure you're losing weight. I'll come back to that later. So that's how much weight you can expect to lose in a period of time. So for example, six weeks, 3 to 6% of your total body weight. Now, how do you actually do that over a 6 week period? the best way and the way we use for all of our members is getting them to build routine and build habits and get structure. So what I mean by that is getting into a routine of like having to track your food, but also not just having to track your food, but tracking similar things. So if you're constantly changing what you're eating every single day, it's a bit like waking up and worrying about, what am I going to wear today? If you got it ready the night before, you'll be able to just put it on. Whereas if you don't, in the morning, you have to think, what am I going to wear today? Do I need to iron things? Do I need to do this? Is it washed? Is it, so on and so forth. Will it go with my shoes? Do I need to change my shoes? You get the idea. This is what happens with people when it comes to food. So, it's very easy to go, I need to eat 1200 calories. Now, what do I eat? Okay, I need to eat healthy food. Now, what healthy food should I eat? So what I always recommend people doing is planning. And I'm not an advocate of like Tupperware boxes and, having your meals planned and eaten out of like, you're ready to eat like a bodybuilder. I'm, all about enjoying the taste of food and eating delicious food that's warm, that you don't have to reheat and get all like, dry and crappy from a microwave. So even then, you can still prepare what you're going to eat. So you can either chop up the veg, chop up the fruit. You can, have an idea of like a meal plan on a wall of, tonight I'm going to make this curry and tomorrow I'm going to have this, and so on and so forth. And building routine as well. So like, that you eat at a certain time in the day. I'm not saying you have to stick to certain schedules, but knowing that you eat dinner at 6 o'clock every day gives you a bit more of a routine and structure around what you're doing on nutrition. And that's where most people go wrong. They don't have a lot of like routine. They don't build up good habits. So building up habits and building up structure is something I definitely recommend. And this is why we focus on it so hard when we get people joining our challenges. Really, really focus on that side of things. The final thing that I would say for anyone who's looking to actually be successful, especially over this lockdown period, aside from building habits and routine, is getting accountability. So it doesn't have to be, don't worry, I'm not going to say join a group or join a program to get accountability. Although that will help, there are other ways of getting accountable. So having like a tracking sheet, for example. So we always give like members a tracking sheet. And what that means is they have to track like how many calories did they eat this day? Did they meet their step goals this day? Did they do this on this day? And so on and so forth. Like tick the boxes. And then that way you have the accountability. I have to go on my phone. I have to record this data. I have to meet these goals. I have to do this every day. Gives you something to focus on. Whereas if you're just going to go, I'm going to try and eat 1200 calories, it may not work. Same thing with like an accountability chart or a habit tracking sheet on a wall or a calendar. Tick the calendar every single day that you meet your calories, that you meet your steps, that you get enough sleep in. 3 ticks for a week will turn into 2 weeks, will turn into 3 weeks, because you've built up, you don't want to break the run of those ticks. So do that and see how that works for you in terms of accountability. The other thing is do it with someone. Find a friend, find an accountability partner, find a coach, whatever you can to help you have some accountability to take action. If you don't, then what will happen is you're not going to see results. Like, for example, I'm using you, Varsha, because you've just popped up on my screen as Varsha is watching. So I posted about Varsha a couple of weeks ago about her transformation with us on Beyond the Diet. Now, she did really well, but she knew more or less all of I'd say 90% of the information we gave her on the challenge. She probably knew, because she's worked with us before. She's trained with us before. But something changed, and I asked her, what was it that changed? And it wasn't necessarily the accountability for her, but it was like having other people doing it as well. Like, so doing it in a group, having the accountability from us of checking in, the support. And also, just generally, she had more reasons to go for it, for her own personal reasons at that point. So having accountability, having a strong reason for why you're doing this will really, really help you out. So where do most people go wrong then? If you know now what you need to do to succeed, where do most people go wrong? Number one is they don't do it long enough. So being in a calorie deficit for a week is all good. You might lose a bit of scale weight because you've just started. You might lose you never know, might even lose a kilo in the first week. But what happens is people get complacent. Old habits start to come back in. They don't have that accountability anymore. Things start to like, fall off track a bit. And then you don't see results long enough to see an actual change for you to feel excited about. What you need to do is stay long enough to see results, to get excited by those results, to continue. If you don't, how many times have you started a diet, don't see immediate results, so you give up? This is, if you had stuck it through potentially, not all diets are equal, like in terms of like their scientific evidence of working. But if you were doing something that was concrete and it was proven to work, maybe it was just that you didn't stick at it consistently. You didn't stick at it long enough. The next thing is accuracy. So what happens is when you're tracking calories, people say, oh, I tried calorie counting, it didn't work for me. The problem probably is that you didn't track accurately. So you probably weren't in an actual deficit. You either underestimated how many calories you were actually consuming, or you got the number wrong in the first place. So like your activities you put into, like our activity level you put in was maybe a bit too high. Like you say you take 10,000 steps, but you may take 10,000 steps 4 or 5 times out of the week. And then in the weekend, you're a complete sloth. You didn't equate for the average that dropped it down to like 7,000 per day, because on the weekend you don't do anything. Or you're accounting for the week and you're like eating really well in the week, but then on the weekend you're eating like 4,000 calories because you're just blowing out. And this is where people go wrong. They don't realize like, little things like condiments and seasoning and little things like that can make a big difference in terms of I'll give you an example. I used to go to Morrison's every single day when I was younger, eat a salad from Morrison's, the salad bar, grab it, put it in. I used to think most of this is leaves and like vegetables, and like, why am I not losing weight? Why? And then I decided, you know what, when I get home, I'm going to unpack the whole box and weigh every single thing out. I know it's a bit OTT, but what happened was that salad was about 600 calories because of the croutons, because of like the lentils I was putting in, because of the fried onions that I was putting on the top. All those things literally added up to about like so many calories. And then I figured out this is why the salad is not helping me lose weight. And that's what I mean by accurately tracking. So, yeah. Then the other thing is a lack of accountability. Now, how many times have you got started and then because no one's watching, or no one's really like doing it with you, and you haven't got that support, you fall off the wagon? That is a big one for most people. I know it's the case for me. When I'm gonna see the best times I get results for fat loss is before I'm going away on a holiday. And the reason for that is because I know I have to take my top off. That accountability of having to take my top off, take pictures and that sort of thing is what gets me to want to be lean. For the rest of the year, I'm pretty comfortable being like as I am now. So yeah, that accountability is massive. Then the other thing is not having structure and routine. And I've already gone through this, so I won't spend much time on this, but you know what I mean. Not having structure, not having routine, not building up any form of like what you're going to eat the next day, not planning ahead, all these things. And a few tips for that is literally like one meal of the day. Someone we've just helped recently has done brilliantly, and they've lost so much weight in the last since the last lockdown. And the reason for that is she messaged me and she said, do you know what I've been doing with my lunch? I've been eating the same thing every single day for the last, however long it's been since the last lockdown. And that might seem really boring. Like her evening meals have been different every time. She's still gone out to eat. But what I mean by that, the reason why that's helped her is because there's no thinking. You just literally, it's on autopilot. You just eat, you repeat, you eat, you repeat. Not saying to do this for every meal, but sometimes I do it for breakfast as well. I literally eat the same thing every day for breakfast. Variety is important, but at the same time, having structure and routine is also important because it helps you with the decision-making process. You don't get bogged down in the decisions and that sort of thing. So the next point I was actually going to say was no habit forming. So when you think is, a lot of people have issues with like snacking, for example. So they may have some nasta on the side, and they walk past it and they think, I'm just going to eat that. Every time they see it, they've got a habit of eating it. So if you don't do anything where you're forming new habits of like replacing that and putting fruit there instead, putting that away in the cupboard, the nasta away in the cupboard, you're just gonna keep failing because your habits are gonna still be around and they're gonna stop you from seeing results. And this is the issue with like kind of people in diets. They don't address I don't want to call it bad habits, but the negative habits that hold them back from seeing results, and they don't replace them with really good habits. And this is why on the 6-week challenge, if you click the link and you see what we do in the 6-week challenge, one of like the big things is addressing habits and fixing them with snacking and things like that. Like, we'll help you form new habits, we'll address your triggers, what's causing you to stop, like continue eating. Those are the things that are really probably make or break for most people. And then not like basically having that support is another thing, but also giving up on yourself. So just like some people see some early success and then they'll just think like self-sabotage, and they have one bad meal and then they give up. They start to eat like healthily and that sort of thing. What you need to remember is, at the start, I told you to work out your maintenance calories as well as your calorie deficit. And the reason for that is because, say this is your calorie deficit, 1200 calories you eat, you will lose weight optimally. And at 2000 calories, you will maintain weight. There is 800 calories between that. Yeah. So as you start to eat more food and get closer to your maintenance, you're still losing weight here. You're just losing it very slowly. As you get to 2000 calories, you're maintaining your weight. And then as you get over it, that's when you start to gain weight. And when I say over it, I mean a lot over it, and for a long period of time. So let's say you did really well for a week, and then you had one bad meal and it got you to here. And when I say bad meal, I mean just a little bit more on the calories. Let's say you got to here. You're still losing weight, but you may give up because you didn't track your calories. So if you have that type of mindset, and you keep that in mind, you're more likely to keep going. You're more likely to go that one, you understand that one bad meal doesn't destroy your weight loss. It does when you focus on the scale, but it doesn't when you understand how calories and how your body works. And these are the sorts of things that we teach on Beyond the Diets. There's a little plug there. So if you are someone that struggles with all the issues that I've said, and you know that even though I've given you all the information and you know exactly how to succeed now, you're struggling, then join something like what we're offering. Because it will help you build really good habits and, transform your body. Because, not in 6 weeks, but because you've transformed your mindset with food. You transform your relationship with food. And eventually that will help you transform your body and make you feel a lot happier during the process, because you're not feeling like you're on a diet. You're not feeling negative about yourself. You're putting things in a positive light. So that's all I had to say. Do you have any questions for me? So I'm going to address some of the questions and then pick the winner as well, because I don't want to keep you guys for too long. But actually, do you know what? I'll start with the winner and then we'll go to questions. So this is your last chance to enter, guys. So anyone who's coming on the live stream now, because there's a lot more people watching now than there were before, say hey in the comments. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to say hey. And I'm going to randomly scroll up and down my screen and pick a winner to win a spot on our nutrition challenge. So 30 seconds start now. And basically, anyone comments hey, gives me a little heart or like on the thing, is going to win. So I'm scrolling up and down now. And I will pick a winner at random. So wherever I stop is basically going to be the person who wins. So hopefully some will be very happy, and everyone else who's a bit disappointed, unfortunately, you will have to pay to join, but you can still join if you'd like to. There are spaces. We close the doors to join on Friday because we get started next Monday. So if you want to get started with us, it's a money back guarantee. So if you're not happy with this, the help I give you, you're not happy with the support, you're not happy with the results, then you can have a full refund on everything we're offering. So go and press hey. I've given you a minute. Okay, so scrolling up and down now, and I will try and look away. So let's see, who are we okay, so Vandana Niva, you have won. So what I want you to do is send me a DM, direct message, and I've just liked your comment, so you will know it was me, and I'll be able to find it. Sorry guys, everyone else who entered, you have won, and I will message you, or you'll message me, and I'll send you like a little code, and it will basically give you a full, just waive the fee off of our joining. So you have to use that. So actually, there was a clause, so you need to reply. So if she's not watching, so I'll give you 30 seconds to reply. If you don't reply, then that means you're not still here and someone else can win. So, yeah, so don't go away, guys. She's won, she's here, so she's won. Okay, brilliant. So she has won, and I will send you, so it's £139 worth of a prize you've won. So brilliant, and we'll be supporting you and getting you started on everything. So if there are no questions, we can end this live. If there are, pop them in the comments now. I'm just going to scroll up just in case I missed anything. If you don't have any questions, you're welcome to shoot off. There was a question about plateauing, so I will go through that quickly. So if you're someone who's done really well, you lost loads of weight and you've plateaued with your weight loss, one of the biggest reasons why is because your body has adapted. So what it's called is metabolic adaptation. So it's like I said at the start, what happens is one of two things would have happened. You're either now eating maintenance calories without realizing. So what I mean by that is, let's say you started at 1800 calories because that's what you would lose weight at, but then you've lost weight, and now your weight loss, your maintenance is now 1800 calories. So you're not going to lose weight anymore at 1800 calories. What you need to do, unfortunately, is drop your calorie intake to lower than that. So 20% lower. If that is not why, then it could potentially be that you're not being active enough. So the other way to do it is, if you know that you're not very active, you don't take many steps, you've done it all by diet, rather than dropping calories, increase your activity levels. Start, like, let's say you take 5,000 steps, take 10,000. Take 10,000 and you can push it up, take 12 to 15,000, and that will help you break past that plateau. If you still struggle, if you try this, then drop me a message and I'll try to help you out. People saying great session. That means a lot, guys. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I was just talking and talking, so hopefully you really took some good information away from this. And it just proves to you that weight loss is probably a little bit simpler than it seems. Now, there obviously are lots of tidbits and little things that you can like kind of improve and accelerate fat loss, but I wanted to keep it very simple for today. So guys, I can't see any questions, but if there are anything I've missed, I will come back to it and just comment. Don't want to keep it going for too long. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you kind of found it useful. Please let me know if there's anything that you need help with, anything you need support with, and we'll be happy to help. And if you want me to come back on here with any other information, whether it's like, I don't know, training, nutrition, anything specific, just put it in the comments and we will come, maybe Zamiha will be happy to have me back on.